Hi, I thought I'd check in with you again. This is another iteration, or the next video, of my journal, I guess. My video journal of a pandemic. There have been several days between this one and the last one that I did, or the first one. I thought I was going to do one every day, but it didn't work out that way. One of the things I want to talk to you about today is that I got sick. I think I have the coronavirus, a very mild case. I'm well into it, if I have it, whatever it is. It alternately, makes me extremely fatigued and fine. In fact, there have been days when I have more energy than maybe I've ever had in my life, or maybe that's kind of a rebound effect after being so fatigued the day before. So I kind of just wanted to talk about that briefly and sort of check in with you, because I think it might help to have, if it hasn't hit your area yet. I'm in New York, in what I think is now the hardest hit county next to New Rochelle, which is in Westchester County. We're in Rockland County, and we have a very high, last time I checked, it was like 3 days ago, that we were anyway, it doesn't matter, who cares, right? We just have a high incidence. So I'm not sure where I got it, and does it matter, right? I've been so good about washing my hands and, scrubbing the house, clearing the counters and all that. And it's not that those things don't help. They absolutely do, and we're still doing them. I think that keeping your hands clean and all the things that the CDC are saying are vitally important in prevention of spreading this to others. And also giving it a chance to build up more than it needs to in your own house and in your own body. So I just thought I'd share that my symptoms are super mild. I have a mild headache most days when I wake up, which is unusual for me. I also have, it's almost, I guess, we made a chart. Where's my chart? My husband and I made a chart of our symptoms. Mine seemed to have started on the 22nd when I had my first headache, and then my husband seems to have picked up almost a week later. So we figure I gave it to him. But essentially I had this headache and then nothing for 3 or 4 days, except my throat felt a little bit sore if I ate something spicy or lemony, but that wasn't a big deal. It didn't seem like I was sick. But then I had my second headache, and my third, and my fourth, and with each headache is about 2 days apart, and each one makes me, the next day usually I'm a little bit more fatigued. And then yesterday I had a day of deep fatigue, and 2 days before that a little less so. So the fatigue is getting more so, and my doctor tells me that's because my body is fighting for me, right? And so I wanted to tell you that it's not always respirators and ventilators and high fevers. Sometimes it's mild symptoms, and there are lists of the mild symptoms online as well. I'm using certain protocols. I started using Anthony Williams' virus protection protocol, which you can download, medicalmedium.com. There's nothing woo-woo about it. It's very practical, herbal, and supplemental, and really good holistic health care suggestions. I recommend that one. I started using it before the what are we in, the quarantine. Another really good resource that came by after I got sick, and I'm also working with, is from Cynthia Lee, who's a doctor, the author of Brave New Medicine, How to Shield Yourself Against COVID-19. She has both a medical and like an herbal, building the immune system with supplements and herbs, getting enough sleep. Her approach is very holistic as well. A lot of their advice is quite similar. And then, of course, my doctor, who is a holistic doctor of traditional Chinese medicine, is giving me wonderful advice and support as well via text. She's also a friend of mine, so we've been in communication. She's also giving me a bit of perspective from the Taoist point of view about viruses in general. And one of the things she said that I found really helpful and interesting was that first, that because she and I have both had Lyme, it's possible that our bodies were already prepared in a way to deal with something like this. That she said something like, once a virus is in the body, it's always with us, right? So first we fight with it, and then the virus and us and our body begin to establish a kind of balance, and the virus doesn't leave. It becomes a resident, and it stops doing harm. And that we have a conversation with the virus for the rest of our lives. So just like I'm always going to show up with Lyme antibodies in my blood, apparently the assumption is that I'll always show up with coronavirus antibodies, if this is what this is. And I found that really interesting. So the reason I'm kind of talking with you is, one, I want you to see that the virus often manifests in mild symptoms. And I want you to go make a study of that for yourself. You'll see when you do, look at that beautiful light. You'll see, it looks like I have a face. You'll see when you do so, when you get online and do some research. Can I get out of that light? It's kind of weird, isn't it? You'll see that the current statistics are something like 80% of the cases have mild symptoms or no symptoms, which is why we're staying home. We're sheltering in place because sometimes you can be carrying symptoms and go out and not realize you have the virus and infect someone else who might manifest it more in a more deadly or a more critical way. So that's why I'm staying home, to protect other people, not only to stay healthy myself, right? So I just want to remind you of that. The other reason I wanted to talk to you is to start the conversation about what a pandemic is, which I'll continue in my next videos, but what it is from a symbolic and mythic perspective. It's not just a microorganism that, as so many people in the news right now, in the media, are talking about, it's an attack and you have to fight against it, and we're in a war, right? So all of that language is fine because we're trying to save lives, but also it's misrepresenting another aspect of what is happening. We're in an encounter with another living being, right? A virus is a living being, and it's fighting for its life, and we're fighting for ours. And so there's a kind of territoriality that comes up symbolically when I just think about it symbolically. And so I want to start talking about pandemic from the point of view of what that root word pan actually means. Pan meaning everywhere, everything, all at once, right? Pan, also the name of the nature god, who is also everywhere, in everything, all at once, and is also known to be a kind of trickster god, right? And so perhaps we can have that kind of conversation around this as well. I find it very comforting and reassuring to know that the world, as I understand it, hasn't stopped moving, hasn't stopped turning. To me, from my perspective, we're still in a collective dream that we're dreaming together. And right now, for many people, that dream is a nightmare. But for many people, it's not. And we're dreaming this dream together. And how might we, who are not having a nightmare experience, lend the authority of our own visionary power to the collective dream to help influence what's actually happening in the world? So that's what I want to talk about in my next video. And so tune in for that. This is long enough, so I'll say goodbye. Thanks for watching. And stay well. Stay well.